Hi everyone, this is Junxuan Zhang. The title of the article our group will talk about today is Speaking Correctly, Error Correction as a Language Socialization Practice in a Ukrainian Classroom. Now let's take a look at the outline first. This article can be divided into 7 parts. I will show you the background, research question, significance, and methodology. As for the last 3 parts, results, conclusion, and critique, they will be shown by Xianglin Dong. Okay, now let's begin. In the first part, we will talk about the background. First of all, the focus of this article is on the impure Ukrainian. There has always been a struggle between Ukrainian and Russian for language and cultural dominance. In fact, these two languages originated from the same mother tongue. They are similar in syntax but different in pronunciation. As the political landscape changed, the local common language also changed from Russian to Ukrainian. However, under the influence of historical factors, Ukrainian has also been influenced by Russian, which is regarded as impure Ukrainian. People try to purify and standardize it to enhance national consciousness. In addition to the general public's concern about it, critics also believe that part of the Ukrainian influence by the Russian is a threat of national consciousness. Therefore, in such a social background, it also started research with the impure Ukrainian as an example. Now let's move to part 2, research question. Based on 10 months observation and videotyping of classroom interaction, this article answered those 2 questions. The first is, how does Ukrainian instruction play a role in revitalization of Ukrainian as the national language? And the second question is, how does corrective feedback socialize children so that they can speak pure Ukrainian? Now let's move to part 3. In this part, we will talk about the significance of this research. As the author mentioned in the article, this article fills up the research gaps. Prior to this, there was no research and investigation on how Ukrainian strategies were implemented in the classroom. In addition, this article also proves that this corrective feedback can not only socialize children into pure Ukrainian speakers, but also socialize them into pure language ideology. Now let's move to part 4, methodology. The participants in this study were 24 Ukrainian primary school 5th grade students. The location of the research was on the campus, and the researcher recorded videos and made observation notes during class. As for the mother tongue, only 5 of the children came from families that only spoke Ukrainian, 9 were from families that only that only spoke Russian, and the other 9 of them spoke 2 languages at the same time. In this article, the author used some methods to collect the data. The researcher conducted interviews with teachers and principals and learned some of the assessment of students' Ukrainian proficiency, their teaching philosophy, and teaching goals. In the classroom, the researcher used the video to collect data. In addition, questionnaires were also sent to the parents of the students, and some information about their occupation, mother tongue, educational language, and family language was obtained. In the process of data analysis, the researcher followed the definition of correction, that is, the replacement of an error or mistake by what is correct. Data analysis includes macro-analysis and micro-analysis. As shown in the figure, among them, the micro-analysis is considered based on the 3 different types.
Now let's move to results and implications. The first part is doing correcting. Let's start with expert 1. The red words in this section are Russian words, and the blue words are Ukrainian words, and they both mean business trap. That is, in this scenario, when the student explained how the main character of the story was published, he used a Russian-fied term. So the teacher stepped in before the student could finish the round and complete a correction. He replaced the corresponding Russian-fied words with Ukrainian words. So the student, he could have picked up where he left off, but instead he restarted the part of his round with the Ukrainian word that teacher mentioned. Thus, it can be seen that he shows the teacher's understanding of his words as a revision and implicitly aligning himself with the teacher's placing on word choices. And corrective feedback like this occurs an average of 6 times per class. In the process, the children are well integrated into their roles in those classes' activities. The authors noticed that there were very few cases in which children did not accept that kind of correction. So we can see that those students have not yet mastered the ability to monitor their language output, but once an incorrect form is brought to their attention, they still expect to identify and replace it. By participating in these class activities, teachers and students can work together to construct and demonstrate an understanding of the norms for the use of Ukrainian, including avoiding the use of Russian or Russian words. Often a child's willingness to accept a replacement form does not in itself indicate that they understand the nature of their error. Because normally you say the teacher's correction are immediately following the source of the error, and it leaves little opportunity for the children to demonstrate their own understanding. However, from the observation of expert 2, it's not difficult to find that children occasionally can show their ability to identify potential source of the problem in their own speech or in the speech of others. So when student 1 used a Russian-fied word to express good, the teacher did not correct that problem, but student 2 stepped in and negate student 1's choice of words. Those events illuminate that ability of children to monitor language output to avoid Russian form. This ability requires both linguistic logic to recognize differences between languages and related social knowledge that recognize the difference and speak properly. In addition, examples like this show that when children participate in creative feedback programs, they do not just repeat the teacher's question, but take creative action. This could allow them to take more responsibility for monitoring their speech according to pure linguistic norms. Through a comprehensive analysis of those excerpts, it can be revealed that words may be linguistically accurate and completely understandable but still be judged socially incorrect because they are associated with the wrong languages. And children show a willingness to uphold pure linguistic norms, regardless of their own ethnic or linguistic background. And in the classroom, pure Ukrainian has clearly become a dominant linguistic ideology. Now let's move to conclusion. The impact of this corrective feedback practice extends beyond classrooms, as those practices help teaching the children to speak Ukrainian correctly while also giving the children a special understanding of what correctly speaking means. When children participate in the corrective feedback process, whether they accept alternative words from the teacher, correcting themselves, or correcting their classmates, they show loyalty to the corrective standard of linguistic ideology. Those standards prevent language mixing from violating the natural boundaries between languages, thus making the pure Ukrainian language concert and naturalized and becoming the standard by which all Ukrainian language practice are evaluated. Also, inconsistent with community language practice, those standards are quite consistent with community language ideology and are supported by many community members, including the parents of some of those children. It also reflects and confirms the value of the pure language and established as a unique language suitable to represent a unique nation. Now let's move to critique. First, let's look at some advantages of this research. This study brings together two complementary research traditions, linguistic socialization and linguistic ideology, and it indicates how normal classroom practice are linked to larger social-political phenomena. Therefore, it contributes to the emerging studies of language socialization, exploring the influence of daily socialization and its dominant language ideology. Now let's look at some disadvantages of this research. Overall, the direction of this research is rather vague. First, it does not present clear research questions. In addition, its main goal, according to the authors, is to explore the role of Ukrainian language instruction in the revitalization of Ukrainian as a national language. However, its research focus is only focused on the error correction feedback in the classrooms and does not provide relevant analysis of other aspects. Finally, when analyzing the research results, it's only giving some case study and no relevant quantitative analysis data is given. Finally, it's today's discussion question.